Hi folks, David Thompson here with the Florida Association of Insurance Agents, here with longtime friend Rob Norberg. Rob, thanks again for your time.
Hey, yeah, glad to be here. Always glad to help out.
15 plus years in the business?
15 plus years, again, since we started as just youngsters, you and I.
Yeah. You're a champion of the lenders' issues. You've worked our Lenders Gone Wild webinar with us many times, and we appreciate that. A lot of folks out there that are watching would appreciate hearing your approach as to how you deal with lenders' issues. I think it's better for them to hear it from someone like you who's in the trenches here. What's your general approach with lenders and customers at a loan closing? How do you handle it? What's your big picture here?
Well, the big picture is to try and get the loan closed, of course, to take care of the consumer. But we're only going to do what's right under the policy and within the guidelines that's set forth by the Florida statutes and the banking rules.
A big issue, as you know, and folks out there know, is lenders are saying you have to send us your replacement cost estimate, your RCE. We want your RCE. How do you handle that?
Well, we first of all take the approach that we don't give the RCE out to anybody, not even the insured. It is not something that they need to be aware of. It's definitely not something the lender needs to put in their file. We don't want to get stuck long-term in an E&O situation where the lender comes back to us and says, hey, you agent, you said this. So yeah, and the tool varies by company. So each company has a different way they work it, but most of the companies, including Citizens, say it should not be given out to lenders.
So you don't give it to the lenders ever, and you don't even give it to the customer?
No, and I usually tell the customer if they come back and say, hey, the lender said I can get it from you, I tell them it's part of the underwriting tools built into our system and is proprietary to the companies, and we can't give them out.
What about the 100% replacement cost wording? Your certificate has to say 100% replacement cost. Very common that these folks experience that. What's your thoughts there?
Well, it doesn't exist until the time of the claim, as you always say. Tell me when the claim happens, I'll tell you what the replacement cost is. But right now, we don't give that out either. We don't put it on certificates. It's not supported by the policy. So we just say, hey, if they want to read the policy, we'll give them the policy language. But we're not writing it on anything.
You know, it actually could be a misrepresentation if you were to put that on a certificate or whatever, EPI, whatever you want to call it. That could be a misrepresentation. What about the line from the lender, well, if you don't do this or this, the loan's not going to close?
Well, we've only had that happen a couple of times in my years, and normally we can tell them what's going on, but we don't have a problem. We've never had one not close. We've only, I think, lost ever 2 customers from that thing where they went to another agent. But the good news is they came back.
I know you mentioned last time they came back.
Yeah, they came back to me a year later and said, hey, I don't like that new agent, and they wrote the policy wrong. So,
well, what about the line, and they hear it a lot, I know, we'll tell the customer, if you're not going to do it, we'll send the customer to another agent who will do it.
Right, and you know, they can say that, but I usually tell the lender, guess what, then I'll be glad to send all your information to the Department of Insurance, the Department of Banking, and the Department of Consumer Affairs, because they're not allowed to steer people. Right. They can't tell people where to buy their insurance.
Yeah, there's a statute about that, 6269551, I think it is. What about, you saw the blogs this past week, agents are telling us that we're doing what Rob has done, and my phone is not ringing, I'm not getting referrals, I'm losing business by doing what you recommend. What's your take on losing customers versus your stand firm position?
Well, I think about it as a long-term approach. I mean, you may get a chance to get some referrals from somebody that says you got to do it my way, but I'm not going to let anybody else drive our bus. I mean, we've been here about 50 years. If we lose a couple here and there, we lose a couple. But the bottom line is, you know, our agency has taken the approach that we're going to do what's right. We're going to do what's right for the consumer long term. And if we lose a little business, which I find it hard to believe that someone's losing a lot of business over this, unless they're paying for brokers to send them stuff, and the broker then says, no, I'm not going to do it. But the bottom line is we don't adhere to that. We want good customers. And wouldn't you want a customer that's going to trust you over a bank for the long term? Just think, you know, if they're going to shop you on a new loan, a new business, next year they're going to say, hey, if you don't like my business, then I'm going to go somewhere else. So it's more of a business long-term decision, and we want to put ourselves in an E&O claim down the road.
Or perhaps a DFS investigation too.
Right, right.
What about any parting comments to the folks that are watching today? Any advice you might give the folks that are stuck with this lender's issue?
Well, I would say, you know, normally you're dealing with these low-level processors that don't understand the rules and things like that. So, I mean, I've dealt with many of them, and I say, oh, let me talk to your supervisor, let me talk to the underwriter, let me talk to your boss, and it's gone through. So I would say stick to your guns, and don't let the lenders drive your bus, because odds are you're not going to hear from that lender again. I mean, once in a while. I don't have that many repeat lenders calling me saying, you know, we need this information.
I think you've mentioned before that there's a short-term relationship with that lender, but a long-term relationship with you and that future client.
Right, and that's what we're trying to build here. We're trying to build customers and long-term clients and take this to the next level. I mean, we're not just here to close the deal just like the bank is.
I appreciate all your support of us, and especially in the lender's issue. I hope the folks out there can benefit from seeing someone in the trenches like you.
Yeah, and I appreciate it, and they can call me anytime. You'd be glad to give them my email.
I have sent a couple your way. We appreciate that.
Thanks.
Folks, I hope you enjoyed Rob's take on it. I hope it's helpful for you out there. And if you have questions on lender's issues, pop me an email. Might circle back with Rob. Thanks, folks, and have a great day.